Hi folks, this is Jamie from Randomise User, and welcome to the 10 best indie games from the first half of 2018. These are all full releases, no early access games, and I'm presenting them in alphabetical order because we've got to keep some mystery for the end of year's video, the one called Into the Breach is the best game of 2018. Oh. Starting with an empty board and no real instructions, Cultist Simulator unfolds into one of the most compulsive card games you've ever played. And before you know it, you have a board full of things all happening at once. You'll be mounting an expedition up a hill over here, researching your dreams over there, recruiting followers over here, all the time holding down a day job and trying not to fall into a deadly despair. It's a puzzle, a roguelike, a Lovecraftian tale all rolled into one, and you'll lose hours without blinking once. The aim of far lone sails is to travel to the far right of the world in a kind of sailboat contraption. It's a couple of hours long, and every moment is wonderful. The vehicle itself is tremendous fun to operate, and working out how is part of the charm. You're a one-person crew, pushing buttons, stoking the engines, raising and lowering the sails, putting out fires, and so on. But you'll also have long moments of serenity, where you can just stand on your ship, marvelling at the beautiful, post-apocalyptic landscape. And then you'll come crashing up against a gentle platforming puzzle, often literally. It's a bit like Inside, really, only replacing that game's creepiness with a kind of faded industrial splendour and the gentle naivety of a determined protagonist. InnerSpace lets you fly around inside giant spherical worlds. You get to explore caverns, giant machines, and even suns with 6 degrees of freedom. Freedom is the right word here. Controlling your glider is exhilarating and never gets old. It often takes your breath away, as do the fascinating inverted landscapes. Like many of the games in this video, you're left to work out a lot of stuff for yourself, without ever feeling abandoned by a cold and indifferent game. It's true exploration, without having the long boring trek back afterwards. And most of the time in InnerSpace, in fact, with its wacky geography, you'll actually be thinking, how the hell did I get back here? Dyson Sphere, the game? Not exactly, but it's damn cool nonetheless. Into the Breach. There's not an inch of fat here in this compelling, turn-based strategy game. Every battle lasts a few turns, and there's nothing here that reeks of being complex just for the sake of appearing cleverer than what it is. You have 3 differently skilled mechs on your team, and a number of bugs who appear over the course of a battle to fight. And that's it really. Simple rules, endless tactical variation. The game's visual language is brilliant. It shows you the potential result of every move you make with such clarity that it's no surprise that the devs admitted they took stuff out simply because it would have been too confusing to explain visually. Into the Breach is one of the most perfectly designed games of all time, without any of the random number god stuff from their previous game, FTL. Jalopy is another game that proves the term roguelite is less a genre and more a state of mind. You have to drive through several procedurally generated countries in a car that's forever about to break down. You scavenge for supplies in boxes, trade contraband, and then fix up your car. The actual driving is the least of your problems. Jalopy scores very highly on mood, with a faded, slightly sad aesthetic that reflects your solemn procession across a Europe that no longer exists. On the other hand, it can be brutal when it does turn the screws. Jalopy dares you to force a couple of extra miles out of your car when you know it's a bad idea. You'll never be happier than when you see your big old hotel looming up in the distance as you limp in on fumes. Well, that or get stranded in a muddy ditch somewhere in Bulgaria. There's a lot of games out there that try to stitch together survival mechanisms with a plot. But it's so easy to end up with the player resenting the need to find water, or have them feel that their sense of exploration is being stifled by the march onto the next plot point. Smoke and Sacrifice nails it. It takes the crafting and exploration of Don't Starve and marries it with a brilliant story that makes use of all the available biomes. Sure, the sheer number of items and recipes can get overwhelming after a few hours, but this is a game that lets you step back from the story whenever you want, and just take a look around, indulge in a side quest, or just admire the disturbingly detailed art. I sometimes wonder if it's just the idea of Subnautica that I love. I've found the crafting to be fiddly, the exploration to be hard work, and the scanning for parts to be a bit of a grind. But despite all that, it's still the best and most beautiful underwater game around, with the base building part of it practically an entire experience in itself. Subnautica's 1.0 release proved that it had been refined and expanded into something more than a sandbox with a bloody great crash ship in it. If you kind of faded out of it during the long early access period, give it another go, and be frankly shocked just how many signals you pick up. So there's been a lot of stunning cartoon art around in 2018, stuff that was both funny to look at and satisfying to play. Shout out to the Adventure Pals. Swords of Ditto hooked me particularly because I still love the idea of a roguelike Zelda. Last year it was Songbringer, with its own hugely distinctive art style. Ditto's gimmick is the way its concept of permadeath leads into a plot that, whilst not subverting the genre, does make interesting use of the idea of carrying stuff over from previous games. Though it's not really obvious at first, and that did put a lot of people off. But never mind all that, just cutting about a randomly generated little RPG world, giving you a whole load of decisions about what to do next, is a joy. And you can do it with a friend too. Where the Water Tastes Like Wine did not sell well, and a lot of people hated it, found it boring, or just too damn slow, but I'm not including this game out of spite. Or am I? Really, what you might call the action part of the game is the weakest. It's really just a method of conveying distance and giving you a way of experiencing the narrative from different angles. The stories are what we're here for. Loads of well-written little tales delivered brilliantly by a range of great voice actors. And a clever mechanism of swapping stories with people you meet around campfires, as you try to remember what you've heard and find the best ways to get your new friends to open up. Yeah, this one isn't for everyone, but if you get it, you have the hidden stories of America combined into a fascinating, weird little package. Yoku's Island Express is joyful, bizarre, and frankly glorious. It's sunshine in a bottle. A pinball platform game that feels a bit Nintendo, a bit Studio Ghibli, and nothing at all like Sonic Spinball. Packed with puzzles, precision flipping, genuinely funny moments, adorable characters, and a sense of Metroidvania gone daft. This is great. This one doesn't really need in-depth critique, to be honest, it's just pure inventive fun. I played it on PC, but really, this is a Switch game through and through. Oh, it's just lovely. Right, so games such as Celeste and Minute may have ended up in the list, but, well, I can't actually play everything. So do let me know what I've missed, especially if there's been noticeable stuff that's not available on PC. And if you support my mission to bring you all the best indie games I can, in the bear pit that is YouTube, do consider subscribing to my Patreon to get bonus videos and behind the scenes stuff. And we'll doubtless revisit all this at the end of the year to see what the best games of the whole year are. And I wonder how many Battle Royale games will be on the list. Maybe all of them. In fact, I guarantee it. Bye.